Shanae, how did you feel about how you did in the pole vault in the last meet? I think if I remember correctly, you got a season high.
Yeah, sorry if this music just started in the background. Hopefully it's not too loud, but the past two meets for pole vault have been a lot better for me. I kind of struggled during indoor season and then the beginning of outdoor season, but I'm finally finding a rhythm and getting back to vaulting the way I have in the past. It makes me a lot more confident going into the rest of the season.
What was the maybe the past year like for you? And you kind of touched on it a moment ago about struggling a little bit in the indoor season. It didn't seem like you were kind of yourself, at least with the heights that you were putting up. What was that process like to kind of get back to your usual self?
It was, I still don't know exactly what sort of happened. I just had a period of time where I wasn't taking off and it was really hard for me to plant the pole and get jumps up. But just showing up every day and just like, honestly, just keep trying to jump. Like I just kept going to practice and doing like shorter drills, and I cut down my full approach. So I have I'm still going from a short approach, but it's beginning to work, and I'll just keep going, taking small steps.
And I'd like to ask you, I guess, about the team outlook for the Big 12. So I know both the Tech men and Tech women's programs kind of seem like y'all go back and forth on which team is the hottest at different times. They won a national championship a couple of years ago. Now in the rankings, the women are number 8 and the men are number 22. What do you feel like y'all's possibilities as a team are here this week and over the next month?
I'm honestly just really excited to see what our women's team does. I know we have a lot of people who are showing up. They are putting up new PRs and competing extremely well. So I'm just excited to see us come together as a team and just compete to the best of our ability. And then whatever happens with the rankings will happen. But I know there's a lot of people on this team who just individually have grown so much. And I'm more so excited to just see each person show up and do what we all know they're capable of doing.
I'll let Eric and Sean jump in.
Shanae, in terms of, you said you talked about getting closer to being back to, your level of what you want from yourself. What does that look like? Is that just purely based on the results, or is it something that you feel kind of within yourself? What is that? No, am I muted? No. Can I hear me?
She muted herself accidentally. Shanae, you need to unmute yourself.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were still asking the question. It cut out for a second.
No. Do you need me to ask it again? Or you? Yeah. Okay. In terms of, you talked about kind of getting closer, being back to yourself. Is that purely a results thing, or is it more something that you kind of feel within yourself when you say you're getting closer to being you again?
So part of it is just competing and getting over certain bars, and but a lot of it is in my training and making these small corrections that I know will have a big impact in my vault down the line. So sort of a combination of both.
What's the hardest part in getting past one of maybe a mental hurdle like that, especially when you come in and you have so much early success, especially here?
I think just not getting frustrated. I'm not very good at not getting frustrated, but showing up to practice and continuing to just keep doing what you've been doing. Sometimes it gets like disheartening to not see results or to continue to have the same problems, but you just have to keep showing up and keep trying and just continually show up is just the biggest thing.
with finals now being over, you've got the pressure of having classes all done, and now you can put 100% of your focus on jumping. What are you more focused on? Are you focused on one event rather than the other, or are you focused on being able to provide whatever points you can to help your team?
I mean, whenever I go out for either event, I put my all into it. I I I don't know. I genuinely think about both probably the same amount, and I practice both about the same amount. Um, I I don't know. Since pole vault's been the struggle, I think it has gotten a little bit more attention. But I think things for triple jump are also gonna fall into place. And I think it'll be a really fun competition because we have a lot of triple jumpers on, tech squad right now that are really doing a great job, along with long jumpers. And I just think the environment and competing around that will be really exciting. So I think, I don't know, both. They're just both exciting.
Which track events did you start out with when you were in high school and younger? What was the one thing that gave you the excitement and the focus that you wanted to be an athlete like this?
Um, so when I first started track, I was doing hurdles and high jump. So neither of which I do now. But I had a really awesome club coach in high school that got me interested in triple jump. And I think that was the most exciting because I found the most success with that one early on. And all of the USA teams I've been on have all been for triple jump. So I think that was sort of like the driving force behind it. But I've always really loved pole vault, and I've always wanted to continue with pole vault. So
And how has the shortening of the steps and the shortening of your approach on the pole vault, how has that changed the way that you handle it? It's a different way of doing it after you doing it for so long. How difficult is it to change your routine after you've been doing it for so long?
I think it was extremely needed. It was because so this year I've developed my running a lot further. So I just wasn't used to the speed. I was bringing down the runway for pole vault. And so bringing it to a shorter run kind of let me focus on the top end of my vault and start focusing on the takeoff. So I think it would have been harder if I didn't change it. I think it was definitely a change that needed to happen and just sort of like a step back. And I'm like, this is what I can do for now. This is what I need to focus on for now. And then later on, possibly moving to a farther step so I can get on bigger poles and have bigger faults.
And finally, for me, uh, for Big 12, who are you looking out as other than competitors on your team? Who do you have an eye on that I need to out jump them?
Like how to out jump on the team?
Well, not on your own team, but
Oh,
on the rest of the Big 12.
um, to be very honest, I don't focus on that at all. I show up and I do what I am capable of, and I focus on myself and beating whatever I did the past week or getting PRs. I genuinely don't focus or fixate on other athletes. I just find it easier to think about what I've done and make the corrections that I know I need to make. And competition is competition. When I'm there, whoever's vaulting high, I'm going to try and vault higher. Then it's just focusing on me, and then in the moment whoever's showing out, I try and also show out and match that energy.
And also about away from the track. Last week, you won the award for the top graduating senior on the women's team, and also were one of the award winners for the Gerald Legge Award. Curious kind of where you are in terms of your schooling and what your career aspirations are.
Yeah, so I'm just finishing up my undergraduate degree in interior design with a minor in architecture. It's been really fun. I think it's a really interesting subject to learn about. And I've always really enjoyed school and liked school. And I actually decided to get my master's in architecture. So after this, I'm going into a 3-year program to do more school. So outside of athletics, I really am all about academics. And I just find it so interesting and I love to learn. So
So you kind of were you kind of a self-starter in that regard, or a lot of kids say, you know, the parents really crack down on them to take school seriously. Did they have to do that with you, or are you always just kind of naturally gravitating toward wanting to learn?
yeah, I'm just a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to academics in school. So my parents never had to like motivate me to like do well in school. That's just something I've always wanted for myself, and just like I don't know, I just set a bar for myself with academics, and like if it's not the best, I'm not doing something right. So yeah.
So the 3-year program that you mentioned a moment ago, was that at Texas Tech, or are you going elsewhere for graduate school?
No, I'm actually going to be going to Clemson for my graduate degree, just because Texas Tech didn't have the specific program I was looking into where I could sit for my architectural license after the graduate program. They didn't have that here, so I had to go somewhere else, sadly.
Clemson, of course, just cut their track and field program, unfortunately. The women's or the men's, I forget which, or maybe it's both. Wes knows. Um, so I'm curious, you said architecture and interior design. So you can not only make the plans to design the building, you can tell them how to design it inside and out both, huh?
Yep. Yeah, that's the plan. I want to do holistic design, but I actually want to do athletic buildings. So that's what my focus is going to be in. And it's really fun to be able to create the environments that people get to compete in. I think that's so awesome. And I've always wanted to, even if I'm not going to continue with track and field, you know, years down the line, I'll still be able to be in the athletic field because I'll be creating the environments that people compete in, train in. So that's sort of the goal with that.
So when did you get that idea? Was that something that you have had for several years, or did being in a sports performance center kind of give you that spark?
So it actually was when I was 15 in Nanjing, China. I went to my first international meet, and their stadium and their Youth Olympic Village was probably the most impressionable like place I've been in. It just really changed my mind about like design and everything. It's the whole reason I went into interior design, and now I'm going into architecture. I was like, I want to create environments like that because it was just like, it was so inspiring. I mean, it was the Youth Olympic Games, so it was a very big event and it had all the sports and all the athletes, but seeing all of the countries just come together and competing and doing their sport, it was just amazing to me. And I was like, I want to do something within this field. I want to be able to foster that type of environment. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So are you a 4-point student, or what is your cumulative for your college years?
I believe it's 3.92. Yeah.
That's about what Eric Kelly was, I think. I think that'll take care of me, unless there's anything else you wanted to add, Shanae.
I'm good.
All right. All good, guys?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you today.
Thank
Awesome.
you guys. Thank you so much.
All right, Coach, if you want to have your camera on, we'll get to questions for you.
Bear with me.
Just because you got a 2-2 in
I'm,
college doesn't mean you have to take it out on me.
Hey, what, Eric?
You
Said Don, just because you got a 2-2 in college doesn't mean you have to take it out on me.
Doesn't matter about the 2-2, just as long as he's got the piece of paper that says he graduated.
can y'all see me yet?
No, I don't have anything over here. Oh, there you go, Coach.
I'm driving, so I'm about stopped. No, I'm good. I'm ready.
All right. Eric, you want to start this off?
Yeah, coach. Make sure you're okay on the road. In
I'm
terms of
stopped now.
okay, good. In terms of what are your overall expectations? What excites you about where your teams stand going into these championships this weekend?
Well, I'm real excited. I feel like we're getting healthier than we were. I mean, we were really beat up in the beginning and the middle of the year, and we've gotten our sprinters back, and we've gotten several people back that, have run really well as of late. And we had the best meet all year at our last home meet, both men and women. And so I really just feel like we're healthier than we were. We've lost some kids for the year that really hurt, but we're going into this meet fired up and really hoping for some exceptional performances and then an opportunity for us to maybe surprise some folks.
Obviously, you go in hoping that everyone is performing at their best, but is there anyone that stood out to you just in terms of, man, even from like a couple weeks ago, they've really turned it on as you guys kind of head to that final front?
Yeah, I mean, Jacoby and probably Courtney have been the biggest surprises because they had pretty major hamstring pulls indoors, and to just see how quickly they've come back, it's been really encouraging. And so I feel like we're just on the cusp. We haven't put that 38-second 4x1 yet together, and I think we're going to do that because those guys are healthy, but they're also so valuable in the 100 and 200 and relays, and Kareem Barkley on the men's side, probably Jack Scarborough high jumping. There's just been overall a good group there on the men. And then on our women's side, we have the leading 400-meter group in the country as a foursome. Sarah Lemp's really come back into true form of what she was 2 years ago. Lexi Price, my goodness, seems like every week Lexi's setting a personal best, and now number 8, I believe, in the country. But I just feel like the jumpers, with everybody, all Coach Thomas's group, the long and triple group, everyone's consistent right now, and that's real important. We don't have to go in there and be our best, maybe, but we need to be as consistent as we've been. I don't want them to go into this meet try and do something they haven't done. Just go do what you've done.
Are there any times that you still or things that you still need to see, qualifying times that you want to see for regionals that haven't been made yet?
Yeah, good question. Our region is by far, the West is the toughest region in the country. If you look at the events all through it, there may be a few good things in the East. Of course, there's several SEC schools, but the depth is just incredible. Joanna Archer's got a 2:06.9, and I want to say that's 45th or something, and only 48 go. I mean, that's just insane. And and you can go down every event, it's the same way. I mean, I think 10:1 in the 100 meters is in the 20s. I mean, 20.5 is in the 20s. It's just incredible how many good things are this year. And so I definitely think we've got to get some better marks in certain things, but I feel pretty good with the people that I felt would make regionals where they are right now as far as getting in.
Who are some of the people that you still think haven't put together their best efforts yet, getting healthy at the right time, and should make an impact in this meet?
Yeah, I mean, Courtney definitely. I think he could win the 100. He could be first or second in the 200 if he's right. I mean, we've just been bringing him back slowly. Jacoby could win the 100. I mean, I think those guys, they're ranked 3rd and 4th or whatever in various events. But I think those two guys with Kareem Barkley, he's in the 400 and the 200, and I just think those guys could be big surprises. And then I think we've just got a bunch of kids that are in that 8th and 9th range that could maybe be in the top 5, in certain events. And so I'm looking forward to that. On the girls' side, I think it's really just be consistent. Sarah's setting second in the 400. I'd love to see her win a Big 12 championship. But I just think that there's just several kids that have been so close that you're going to see some kids step up, but I don't want to just pick out one or two. I think it's going to be several kids. You're going to see some personal bests here at this meet. I think it's going to be a huge meet for personal best.
Wes, your women are sitting, I was just looking at the national rankings, and your women are sitting at number 8 right now. Do they have a shot, you think, to win the team title, or is Texas just too strong at this point, have too much numbers and depth on you?
Yeah, I've said this all along. I think this is one of the best women's teams, if not the best all around women's teams. We've been 5th in the country with Sally and that group. There was 5 girls that were exceptional. I think we have 10 to 12 girls that are exceptional in this group. But in fairness, Texas is just unreal. I mean, I think this is one of their very best teams ever on the women, especially in the 100 and the 200, in the sprints and the hurdles. They've been dominant, and we need to bust that up to have a chance, and then have a great meet. Seasons has got to do well in the hammer and the discus. Kaylee Johnson, those people that are doubling and tripling, Peyton, Lexi, all of them, they're going to have their best meet. And Texas is going to have an average meet for us to beat them. They're really good.
How do you feel? And I was kind of asking Shanae about it a moment ago, but the fact that you've had both your men's team and your women's team, it seems like they've kind of gone back and forth on which one has been the most highly regarded at different times. 2 years ago, you won a national championship on the men's side, and now your women are ranked number 8 and your men are number 22. How do you feel about, having both of them kind of have their moments, so to speak?
Well, I'm just really proud of our women. I mean, this is a special group. Kaylee did a fantastic job last week in the multi, and then, you've had Sarah in our 4x4. I mean, this is a good team, and it is a top 8 team. I'm really hoping that we can hold on to that, or even better that, at the national meet and get through this conference. On the men's side, we've just been beat up. I mean, we lost Norman Grimes for the year. We've lost Jay Hall. I'm hoping he'll be back. But those are 2 All-Americans. And when you get to the national meet and have a 2nd place and a 5th place that you didn't, no one even knows them. They're not even on the Tiefer's list hardly. Well, that makes a huge difference. And Courtney hasn't been himself. Jacoby hasn't been himself. We just have been so injured on the men, and I think we're a lot better than 22nd in the country. But taking nothing away from our women, our women have been good. We were 11th indoors, and we're ranked 8th right now. And so I'm hoping both of them are going to be up there close to being the top 10 before we finish.
When did Justin get hurt? What does he have?
Justin, running the 100 in our first meet that we had here, strained his hamstring, and he hasn't competed since. We are taking him, and I'm hoping that he has an opportunity to jump. But I feel real confident about A&M in 2 weeks, but we'll see. He had a good day today, but I just don't want to take any chances of hurting him, because he can get us to the big show in Oregon if he can jump in 2 weeks.
Yeah. And you kind of touched on it, but I was going to ask you on your men's sprinters, considering those guys have had hamstring issues and whatnot, how much are you pushing them this weekend in terms of number of events that those guys are going to be in, Courtney and Jacoby and those guys?
Yeah, I'll probably, I think, well, Jacoby, number 1, hurt his hamstring at the Big 12 championship. So his has been a later and bringing along slower. So I'll probably not overwork him as much as Courtney told me after we ran him on the 4x4 the last meet and ran the 100 and the sprint relay. He said, I've never felt better. So he's a little bit stronger kid and has done more of this type work because he runs up to the quarter and Jacoby really doesn't. So I'll probably work him more. Kareem will get worked hard. I mean, and it's going to depend on them, a lot on them, to whether we have a chance to win or not. And Texas, we need them not to have a great meet. And I'll tell you what, Iowa State is tough. They've got all those distance guys that came back from COVID, and they've got a pretty good team. They've got several, they've got a few throwers, and they've got a few hurdlers, and they've got just a few things that they don't normally have a lot of that could, if they have a great meet, it's going to be a dogfight, I think, between those three teams.
Do you have an idea who you're going to run on your 4x4, or will that simply be determined by what the team standings look like when it comes time to run it?
It does, but if we're in it, I think Chance would lead off and probably go to Courtney, and then probably have Spin Cephas on there. I didn't run him on it the last time that he ran. I ran Marco, but probably Spin would be on there. And then and Kareem. Yeah, Kareem would be, we'd probably have Kareem on the anchor. That'd be the 4. And then we'll have Marco probably as the next backup.
So I was curious, did you track and field was in the spotlight this weekend with DK Metcalf running against the sprinters. Did y'all watch that, or what did y'all think of it?
I did watch it, and I have, I think a football person doesn't really understand, but I think he gave the the ultimate respect to the track people. And I think he did remarkably well running a 10:36, being 200 and something pounds. Looked great for, 50, 60 meters, just couldn't hang with those great guys. But it's a different world, football speed and track speed. And I think he brought that to the forefront. But I also think he did it in a very classy way. And, I have nothing but respect for him. He's one of my favorite players now, just because of getting out there and putting himself out there. But then once he ran it, he goes, wow, what I did realize is track speed's different than football speed. And he gave credit to that, which, people think 10-1 or a 10-2 is close. No, they're night and day. And of course, 10-1 to 10-3 is really night and day. But, not everyone understands that. And I think he got a greater appreciation of it, and also ran pretty darn good.
I saw Andrew Hudson in one of the races. Where's Andrew training?
He's training in Florida, and so is Divine. And Divine ran 1988 other day, and I think he ran 20 flat, right at 20 flat at LSU. I believe that's correct, somewhere right in there. AJ did. So they're both running pretty well right now. AJ's been a little bit ahead. I think Divine hurt his hamstring slightly indoors at that Arkansas meet, so they brought him along a little slower. But I love seeing them run good. Both of them seem to be coming around at the right time.
Guys, anybody else?
Anyone else?
I'm good.
Your questions were so immaculate, I cannot follow them up.
Well, that 10:36 of DK, I know that just blew your mind, because you could run a little faster than that, but everybody's got to understand that you're a stud.
I thought he'd run about 10.5 or so and get really smoked, but I was surprised that he wasn't that far back.
No, I told Don, you're exactly nailing it. I thought he'd run about a 10.5 because he is a good athlete, but 10:36 is really good for a football player, just to step out there. His first meet of the year in that kind of competition of running the best in the world. And my hat goes off to him. I was so impressed with him. That's a really good time for a football player, especially as big as he is. You take 20, 30 pounds off of him, he probably run 10-1, 10-2. So it's pretty impressive.
Oh, good.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Wes.
All right. Thanks for hopping on, y'all.